fellow ministers, Your Excellency, Mr. President, your home state, Katsina, led by
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have seen some improvements. When we had a comparative analysis before the issuance of the containment, security containment order, what we saw in 3 months when we compared, we saw a drastic drop of over 100% in terms of the rates of kidnappings, killings, and associated crimes with banditry. So the incidents we had last week had nothing to do with banditry attack. It was purely an assassination by unknown killers, which the police and other security agencies are working around the clock to unravel what had happened, because he was killed, my commissioner was killed by an unknown assassin, and not a single pin was stolen in his house. So you could see that this was a pure crime that has to be investigated for us to know the root causes and why and who. Thank you.
You say normalcy is returned to Katsina?
No, we cannot say normalcy has returned, but certainly there's improvement.
To what will you attribute that?
Well, I think combined efforts of the security containment order and the efforts of the security forces to go after informants in particular, and also to go after the bandits hideout. And even 2 days ago they had an operation of clearance, which I think is proving very successful. And I think what is most important for us to succeed is for all the states, especially in northwestern states, to take the pain and work together to make sure that we block all the loopholes. But if one state has a policy, another state has a different one, certainly they will always be moving from one state to another. Luckily enough, the states, including Niger and Nasarawa, that border us, we are working together to make sure that we bring this to a manageable and tolerable level.
This effort of working together had failed in the past. How sure are you now it's going to work?
It does not mean we should not continue to work towards working together. If something failed yesterday, it can succeed today.
Okay, I don't know about the outcome, but let me tell you why I came to see him. First and foremost, I came to express a great appreciation to Mr. President about all the support we have continued to receive in the areas of security. You must have heard there were several joint operations of the special forces, the military, the police, together with our vigilante, the Air Force and the Navy, you know, in the 2 local government areas that are bordering Abuja, that is Toto and Karu local government areas. And as a result of the various operations, it's been very successful. When we had recently, there were some of our schools were being targeted. We privately approached, and then actions were taken. So far, we thank Almighty God that we've been able to dislodge those ones. Then to express our happiness that as a result of some level of peace we have in Nasarawa State today, we have been tagged as a state that is currently #1 in sesame production, #2 in yam production, #2 in cassava production, and #5 in rice production in the country. So these are very exciting moments for us. So now we came to specifically also express appreciation to Mr. President, especially in the area of power. For some of you who are receiving power regularly every day, you may not understand the excitement about that. The 330 MVA thermal line that is coming from Niger Delta, has just been completed in Nasarawa State. So today, in Lafia in particular, we have 24 hours power supply and regular supply because of that. So these are very exciting moments, for us, apart from various other projects on roads, on hospitals, on education, on these that have been completed in Nasarawa State. So we came to discuss about those kind of areas. So other things are probably more private issues that we discuss. No, those are the ones I have mentioned that mostly they have been dislodged because of the joint operation, even from the support we get from my colleague in Kogi State. So constantly we sharing information with the Kogi State as well as Benue, and a lot of efforts have been put into that, and so far so good. Well, nowhere in the world is completely safe, but to a certain extent, we can say we are a state. If you compare us with so many parts of the country, you can consider Nasarawa a very safe place today.
Since you say you don't know the outcome of the meeting with the president, what was his response?
Well, he showed great appreciation that he thanked God that some of the efforts are being noticed, and it is not all bad news like other people will seem to believe. So there are some of his efforts are actually being appreciated. And I told him one thing, and I say, some of your efforts will be more appreciated maybe when you leave office. Today, you are the architect of the AKK line that comes from Ajakuta to Kaduna, Kano. You will notice that recently Nasarawa State has actually signed an MOU after our gas roundtable in Lafia, where all the management of the top management of NNPC were in Lafia. And then we discussed about gas utilization, and we're bringing our own experience of what happened actually with the West African gas pipeline when the GasLink, a subsidiary of Owando, at the time subsidiary of Unipetrol, actually tapped the West African gas pipeline from Shagamu and then teed the line into Ikeja, where all the industries now have been converted. As a matter of fact, one of the companies I was running, Dangote Sugar Refinery, was utilizing roughly about 12 million cubic meters every month. So for a country like Nigeria that has over 200 trillion standard cubic feet of gas, to say that somebody is building a gas pipeline for gas utilization, I don't think that's a small thing for people. But people a lot will not understand it until maybe when such people may not even be in the office. And then the opportunities come where now some of our problems that we are having with the trees are just being fell down every day because we are using firewood. So people begin to use that. And then we begin to have LPG everywhere for cooking, and then we also have LNG so that most of our vehicles today will be using gas rather than petrol and the rest. So, a lot of these things will not be seen for people who cannot see what is possibly going to happen tomorrow. But by the time all these things are happening, then somebody will say, who did this? And then they will say, oh, it's President Muhammadu Buhari. Then they will say, may God bless him. That's one of the projects we have almost completed. Right now, we have finished most parts of the airport. We have finished the fencing. We finished the fire station. We have imported the cabin. We have extended, actually, the parking space. We had finished the terminal. So that airport will be commissioned by the grace of God in January. Thank you.
First is I came to see Mr. President on security issues. If you remember some weeks back, there was an attack in Taraba State, specifically at Manga, which is in Taraba State. Our boundary with Cameroon was invaded by the Cameroonian Amazonians. And they killed 11 people, including the chief of the small town. And I have not been able to see Mr. President because of his busy schedule and his travels. So I'm fortunate today to have an appointment with him to brief him on details about what transpired and the need to give us some assistance in that axis. It was a very useful discussion. I'm happy. And also to seek assistance. I told Mr. President that Taraba can supply the country with rice, which he knows very well because he knows Taraba absolutely well. If you remember, he was our governor in those days as a Northeast governor. He knows the terrain. So I'm seeking for more aid towards the farming of rice, particularly the dry season rice, where we get 3-4 times the yield of that one of a rainy season. And more people have been encouraged into this farming. I have empowered well over 20,000 people now, and they're more interested in the dry season. And I thought if we are assisted, we should be able to produce enough rice for all the millers in this country because we have the land. These are some of the things we discussed with Mr. President. First, there are a lot of loans that have been approved. We have not received our own through the CBN. We also have gotten assistance from Czech Republic to give us a long-term loan. They have actually manufactured over 2,000 tractors. For over 2 years, it's stuck in Czech Republic. We don't have approval to get those shipped to give to our farmers. And there are other assistances that comes from the federal ministry. Some have reached us, which we are utilizing very well. But I imagine that without getting these soft loans and soft machinery assistances, you will not be able to encourage much more people than we already have. Because if they have these small, medium tractors, which we had ordered, if they have chemicals, fertilizers, and so forth, which usually comes from the ministries and the federal government, and even the clearance of those places, particularly like my area, I need to do channelization. I need canals. I have to build a lot of canals to carry this water in the dry season along the coast of the rivers. We have River Taraba, River Donga, River Gongola, and so forth within the state. Without those channels, they cannot be able to irrigate. We have excess water during rainy season, but then it dries. It's not that it completely dries. But if you have these canals, we'll store this water at a dam, pump it, and it will roll down, and the farmers can just be fetching and put it in their farms. I don't know whether you've ever been to Kano. You see what happens at the on your way to entering Kano. You see the way that you have those canals all around it. This is the kind of thing I wanted to build. I've applied to CBN for years, and nothing has happened. And without you doing this, you cannot get the dry season farmers to come on board. And as I said earlier, they harvest 3 to 4 times more than the rainy season. You may ask me why. I will also ask the same question. They told me they have longer days of sunshine. The fertilizers are right at the bottom. They are not being washed away by excess rain. And then you apply chemicals. it's a little chemical applied because not much grass growing. So the rice could grow faster. The rice has the water right at the bottom, and the advantages are so many. And then during harvesting, because it's a dry season, you harvest on the dry ground. So they cut it and trash it on the dry ground. So the advantages of dry season farming far more outweighs that of the wet season.
Is Taraba still the nature's gift to the nation?
In fact, I don't say the nature's gift to the nation. I said Taraba is the nature's gift to the nation, and I add, indeed, Taraba is the nature's gift to the nation. We have excess land for any type of agriculture. We have all the zones, the seasons, the vegetation, right from savanna to the tropical rainforest. Do you know we grow cocoa in Taraba? Do you know that we have palm oil in Taraba? If you go to the shop, you see they say palm oil. That's from Taraba. It's palm oil from Taraba. We have rubber plantations. We have, name it, all the tropical trees that grow in the tropical, they grow in Taraba. And then we have the mountain vegetation. That is the only place you can plant coffee and tea. So the highland tea now is everywhere. Hitherto, it wasn't, the factory was dead. We revived the factory. It's doing very well now. And we're encouraging more people to plant tea. They're planting tea. I've gone into coffee now, which is my next step. I hope to do it before I leave office. Let also coffee pick up like highland tea has picked up. That is the mountain trees, crops that grow there. Then the between the tropical forest and the savanna, you have the lush vegetation where you plant soybeans, Benny seeds. Since I came on board about 6 years ago, I have been giving free Benny seed and free soybean seedlings. And now a lot of people are growing it. And there is still a lot of demand because the Benny seed and soybeans are commercial products. And now, talk of cassava. We are the one exporting cassava now because everywhere in Taraba you can plant cassava and it grows very well. So I can go on and list. And now I have been encouraging people with avocado. A lot of people have gone into planting avocado, and we're targeting avocado for export. And I'm working hard also to build a new airport runway for export. So that all these are produced, if they start coming up, for export. I have not even talked about beef, milk, and so forth, which are, we have been practicing ranching since in the 60s. So when they're talking of ranching, it's no news to us. All our animals in the mountain are domesticated, and they're the sweetest meat. If you remind me, I'll tell them to dash you one cow from our place. All right. Yes. No, remove your muffler. Yes. Regarding the... Yes. Yes. That is why I'm here, to see Mr. President, because he alone can give the order for us to strengthen our border there by bringing in security men along the border, putting some posts. Once we have that, I think we can secure that border. Incidentally, we have about the longest border with Cameroon. And so there is absolute need to secure it and strengthen it. And this particular area of Manga is by the lake shore. Because of the dam in Kashimila, the water has gone almost like 6 kilometers into Cameroon. So people now find it easy just to come in and go out. So we might need also a naval base to be able to secure and police and monitor the people that go in and out, and also an immigration post. All these are requests, and I think Mr. President has assured me that he will do something about it. I'm very hopeful. Thank you.
Engagement with the president this evening.
Thank you very much. As you are aware, in Sokoto State, particularly on Monday, the 6th of December, we had a very terrible incident where we lost 23 of our citizens to bandit and banditry attack, which was carried out on them as travelers in a bus, and whereby all of them were burnt down. Of course, a number of them from the bus, 32 of them, some of them survived and escaped, but 23 got burnt alive. So and the situation in the state is really getting more worrisome, and that's why I sought for and was granted audience by Mr. President to come and further brief him. Of course, following the visit of the NSA, IGP and the rest of them, I know that they have briefed him, but I felt compelled by the situation to come and further give him more briefing on the situation at hand, and so that we can go get more support of Mr. President in terms of redeployment of more personnel, more equipment to the area that's being affected by the general insecurity in the state.
So what are you taking away from here, having met the president? What can you assure the people of Sokoto after this meeting?
From what I've seen and the engagement I've had with Mr. President, I can see that more in terms of engagement, in terms of strategy, is going to come up. And part of what I really suggested to Mr. President is for him to consider taking the advantage of the constitutional provision to declare a state of emergency in some of these areas that we have all of these bandits in Zamfara, in parts of Zamfara, parts of Katsina, parts of Sokoto, parts of Niger, Kaduna and Kebbi, those areas where we have them. Since now that the court has declared them as terrorists, we should take a step further by declaring a state of emergency in those areas so that the military can actually carry out proper and effective and well-coordinated military operation with the backing of the law. Which is very important because, of course, you know that there is this feeling that they may be worried about charges of human rights abuse if they go without being armed by such provisions of the law. So I've really requested Mr. President to look into that possibility of declaring a state of emergency in those areas so that effectively the military operations can really take place.
So how did the President respond to your briefing?
From what I've seen, I believe that Mr. President has accepted to take further steps that are very decisive in dealing with the situation as Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
So as former Speaker and two-term Governor, what do you think is the best way forward towards finding lasting solutions to this problem of insecurity in the country?
Part of it, which I have recommended to Mr. President, is that we must do it a kind of a very comprehensively, the coordinated, as I said, operation. And then the engagement with the other Sahel leaders of the Sahel region, because this is not just about Nigeria, it's a West African problem, and there is the need for all of the ECOWAS leaders, those particularly in the Sahel region, to come together and come up with in synergy with a framework of engagement and containment of these criminals. Because, of course, we have influx of them coming from across, and some of the arms they get are coming from across, and even the drugs they take are coming from across. So it's very important for Mr. President, and I've suggested to him that ECOWAS should come up with a strategy of containment and engage the US government, engage the French government and the United Kingdom for them to cooperate and work together with Nigeria and the rest of countries in the Sahel region for us to nip this in the bud.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.